What is going on, y'all? Gamers Goon here today with your NBA round two predictions. Obviously, I do know that we have had one game go on with the Timberwolves and Nuggets. That's because we were waiting around for the Cavaliers to beat the Magic yesterday to finish up Game 7 before we came on here and did a whole. I didn't want to just do a separate video for the Timberwolves Nuggets. But we're going to go down the Western Conference, Eastern Conference, who I think will win going forward. Actually, well, not going forward, but in this round. And then we'll do a conference final and an NBA final video as well. However, we are at the conference semifinal, the conference semifinals. First, let's talk about the Thunder and the Mavericks. The Thunder came out in their series, won 4-0 against the Pelicans. I'm slightly worried about the Thunder. I'm not gonna lie. I know they won 4-0, but the Pelicans without Zion. The Pelicans not the best of teams. They're the 8th seed. Quick reminder there. With no Zion, have they been tested? Mavericks and Clippers, they kept trading back and forth. Big victories, like 15, 20-point games. So the Mavericks, they won the series 4-2. They did win the series, but it kind of, not necessarily took a while, but they kind of showed some weaknesses at points in that series. The good news, though, is I really like the way that Luka's been playing, that Kyrie's been playing, and I think you're getting a lot of good effort from the other guys around him. And I'm not sure the status on Maxi Kleba. I know he went down with injury um, last game, so I'm not sure on his status necessarily. But I think the Thunder and the Mavericks is going to be a good series, man. I think it's going to be a good series. Um, Ultimately, it's going to be the question of at any point in this playoff run, does inexperience play a role in the Thunder losing games? I don't think they're going to lose this series, but I think this is where we're going to start to see some struggles from the Thunder. Not necessarily struggles, but we're going to start to see some weaknesses. We're going to start to see the Thunder maybe lose a couple games in this series. I know they had a 4-0 first series. I think they maybe lose one or two games here. I still think the Thunder are too deep of a team for the Mavericks to beat. The Mavericks, if they do beat them, it's going to need to be a elite series from Kyrie and Luka, if you ask me. But I'll give it to the Thunder in 6. I'll give the Mavericks 6 games to get it done. I think the Mavericks can hang around for a little bit, but ultimately it should be the Thunder. They're the number one seed for a reason. I do know that they are one of the youngest teams in the NBA. I do get those those points that people might bring up, but ultimately speaking, the Thunder are there for a reason. The Mavericks maybe lack some of that depth that the Thunder have. So I'm gonna give the edge to the Thunder in 6 games. I got the Thunder winning. Timberwolves versus Nuggets. Now, the first game of this one did not disappoint me. I mean, you watch this game, and I was watching with my dad. Watching Anthony Edwards play is just, I don't think people will realize while in the regular season how good this kid is. I mean, we all know he's an all-star. He's a great player. We all know that. But watching his level of play in the playoffs has been something special. He has went from being a star to legitimately being somebody that I think could be considered a superstar. He was showing flashes of things that Michael Jordan did. The back down spin into the jump shot from the mid range. Guess where that's from? Michael Jordan. I mean, Anthony Edwards, man, he's turning himself. He's kind of elevated his play from being in that star conversation to maybe a top 10, maybe even a top 5 player in the league. That's how good Anthony Edwards has been lately. This kid is something special. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about it after his last game, where they did beat the Nuggets. They were like, this kid's different. He's something special. There's memes going around on Instagram and all that about a quote that Michael Jordan said about how in the early 2000s or whatever, that a lot of women and him obviously did that, and he says that he probably has a kid in the NBA somewhere. Everybody's saying it's Anthony Edwards. Is it Anthony Edwards? It's not Anthony Edwards. There's no way it's Anthony Edwards. But Anthony Edwards. I mean, this kid has elevated his play to an unbelievable level. Um, and then you got there on that team McDaniels. He goes for some good games here and there. He's pretty good. Great defender. Then you got Gobert, who I will give you his hit or miss, but he's impactful. He'll cause you to maybe think twice about going towards the rim. And then let's talk about Naz Reid in that first game, man. Naz Reid. Whoo! He was on a heater. Naz Reid got everybody pumped up for that game. It was awesome. That whole game was awesome. The Nuggets, the real question is, I think this Timberwolves team's legit. I believe in this Timberwolves team. Is the Nuggets team enough? Obviously, we know they got Jokic. We know they got Michael Porter. We know they got Jamal Murray. This is going to be a dogfight of a series. It's going to go the distance. It's going to go 7 games. If I think it's going to go 7 games. It might not actually go 7 games, but I think it will go 7 games. It's going to be a big battle between these two. Who do you give the edge to? I spent the whole first part of this hyping up the Timberwolves. They're already up 1-0. It'd be easy to pick the Timberwolves. But something's telling me in my heart and in my soul to go with the Nuggets. I don't know why, but I think it's going to be the Nuggets. They're just two good teams battling it back and forth. And I would love to see the Timberwolves make a run. I'm rooting for the Timberwolves to make a run. Obviously, I'm a Bulls fan. I don't have much say in this playoffs. I'm not rooting for my team. I want to see somebody different. And Timberwolves is somebody different. The Timberwolves have a guy that everybody loves in Anthony Edwards. The Timberwolves can do it. Will they do it? I don't know. But I'm going to give the edge in 7 to the Nuggets. I'm going to have the Nuggets win the series, unfortunately. Celtics versus Cavs. Game 1 has not been played here in this situation. So it should be very interesting. Celtics, obviously we know what they did in the first round. They came in, only gave up 1 game to the Heat. Whereas the Cavs, they had a fight to the end. They were the reason why this video didn't come out earlier. Because they went 7. They took the game to 7. And they were playing from behind there in game 7. They were down. And they came back and they won by a pretty hefty amount. The Cavs, they've dealt with adversity. It's just a matter of I don't know if the Cavs have enough. Because if you watched game 6 when the Cavs had a chance to put it away, there wasn't much going on from anybody not named Donovan Mitchell, including Darius Garland. Darius Garland did not have the game he probably should have on game 6. Granted, Darius Garland's a good player. He's going to bounce back. But if you get into one of those games where it is literally just Donovan Mitchell going for 40, 50 points, you need somebody else to step up. And I don't know if you can consistently rely on Donovan Mitchell to do that because he's been battling a knee or a leg, something or another. He's been limping heavy at times in this playoff run. I don't think you can consistently rely on him to carry you through this series, so you're going to have other guys step up. And against a team like the Celtics, a team that's deep, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, all those guys, Derek White, who's been having a great series, you're going to have a tough battle. You're going to have a tough battle if Donovan Mitchell at any point shows that maybe that injury is bothering him a little too much, if he can't get going. And if he can't get going, who can you get going? They got guys on there that can get hot. You got the Struces. You got Mobley who have a good game. You got Garland, who we all know is an all-star level player. Does he have a good game? And can you get him going? With Donovan Mitchell's health not being the greatest, I don't know if I can reasonably make an argument for the Cavaliers to win this series or take this series far. But I will say that the Cavaliers will get a game. I confidently say that. They are a better team than that Heat team that beat the Celtics. They'll get a game. They might get 2. They're not beating the Celtics. I'm giving them 1 game. I'll say the Celtics win in 5. The Cavs, I think, when healthy, if Donovan Mitchell is healthy, maybe they go 6. Maybe they win 2 or 3. I don't think they win the series still. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But you need the other guys to contribute. And at points last series, they weren't contributing. They went silent and just let Donovan Mitchell take over. Which sometimes there's games like that, but if Donovan Mitchell is letting that injury, maybe he can't play for a game or maybe something like that, who's going to be the guy to step up and maybe go in his 30, 40-point game and be the focal point of the offense and the guy that has no fear, attacks the paint, and does all that? Is it Darius Garland? Darius Garland could be the guy. He's capable of being the guy. But will he be? And without those answers, I can't say in good faith that they're going to beat the Celtics. So give me the Celtics in 5. Then we get a series I'm excited for tonight, 6:30. Big game, man. Watching the Knicks versus 76ers was kind of frustrating at one point, but also kind of fun. I really love. I don't know if you're a Knicks fan or not. You probably aren't big Knicks fans. But just I love games in Madison Square Garden. I just love them. The fans, everything about it. It feels like a big game environment. I love that. I absolutely love that. The 76ers, obviously, not a super deep team. They didn't beat the Knicks, obviously. But Embiid kind of was injured coming in, banged up. Maybe didn't have the series we could have got out of him. But the Knicks handled their business. They handled their business. It was a fun series. And then you had the Pacers, who didn't have to run into Giannis. They did have to run into Damian Lillard a couple times. But he even sat out a few games. And the Pacers, while they did win the series, they didn't get the best shot from the Bucks. They didn't get Giannis. Damian Lillard, obviously, he gave them a few good shots. But Pacers, it ain't their fault that players aren't playing. And the Pacers look like a connected team. They look like a team that thought they belonged, thought they could beat Milwaukee. And at no point was I really ever in this series thinking, I mean, going into the series, I was like, well, if they can get Giannis and Damian Lillard into the series and if they can be healthy, I think the Bucks win. Watching a few of those games, I don't know if Giannis coming back in Game 6, in Game 7, would have changed anything. I don't know if he would have changed anything, to be honest with you. The Pacers believed they could belong. They believed in themselves. Halliburton had a pretty solid series. Miles Turner had some big games. Obi Toppin was making some plays. Naismith was out there making some plays. I mean, it felt like everybody was involved. Shepard was out there making some plays. It was TJ McConnell was out there making some plays. It was just a very interesting, different look. Not necessarily a team you watch in the playoffs, and I'm like, well, maybe these guys could go all the way. Not saying that they can't, but they look like a team that belonged. They looked like a pretty solid team. Is that enough for the Knicks? You got Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, who's been phenomenal. Obviously, Dante DiVincenzo. And I waited till the last to even say his name. Big 40-point machine over there, Jalen Brunson. Can Tyrese Halliburton stop Jalen Brunson? We just saw a series where Tyrese Maxey, whoever, was switched on to Jalen Brunson. Joel Embiid sitting in the paint literally meant nothing. Jalen Brunson just attacked, and he got the same result every time. A bucket at the rim, a floater here, a big three here. There was no fear in Jalen Brunson's game. Jalen Brunson was the best player on a court most of the games with a court that had Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid on it. There was the big Tyrese Maxey game that he hit the threes and came back late. That was Tyrese, the best player on the court. But the majority of that series, Jalen Brunson was the best player on that court. And against the Pacers, you're going to have to be the best player on that court once again. Are you a better player than, well, not necessarily are you a better player than Tyrese Halliburton, but will you be the better man on that day? And I think if you give him a series of 7 and you got to win 4 to advance, I think Jalen Brunson does it. I think Jalen Brunson will do it. I think Tyrese is going to have a big future in the NBA. Not this year, though. Not this year, though. Because Jalen Brunson is an elite level player. We talked about Anthony Edwards elevating his play and becoming a superstar. Let's talk about Jalen Brunson doing the same. Jalen Brunson has been phenomenal. Jalen Brunson has consistently been that guy. When the Knicks need a big clutch basket, Jalen Brunson seems to want the shot. Jalen Brunson went from obviously being a guy that was kind of a, a sidekick to Luka to now he's the guy. And he's a pretty dang good one. He's one of the best in the league. That dude's different, man. That dude's different. I got to go with the Knicks. I think the Pacers will make it a series, but ultimately I'm still giving them it in 6. I'm going to give the Knicks the game in 6. So we got from my predictions, we got the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Knicks advancing. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. The higher seeds are winning. But I think that Timberwolves series will be good. I think that Pacers series has some potential. Thunder series could be interesting. Could be interesting. Will it be, though, is the question. I don't know. That Mavericks team is a little bit too inconsistent for me to take a chance on. But thank you for watching, and see you next time.